Hi guys, Elliot here. I hope you're all doing good. I thought I'd do another video for you today about HOCD. I was going to take a deeper look at some of the compulsions and avoidance behaviours with HOCD, help you identify those so that you can eventually cut them out and assist in your recovery towards HOCD. So yeah, with that being said, let's get straight into it. So, of course, HOCD, homosexual OCD, is the fear that you are gay, or, the fear that you're not the sexual orientation that you thought you was. And in order to offset that fear, you perform a lot of compulsions and avoidance behaviours to, alleviate that fear, if you like. So, I'm going to go through about 10 of them today. So, the first and probably the main compulsion for HOCD is checking your feelings of attraction and arousal. And this can be for the same sex, and this can be for the opposite sex too. So you're just chasing that certainty that you really want in terms of being attracted to somebody. So for example, you might watch pornography compulsively just to double check that you're aroused by it. You might constantly watch for your attraction during intercourse with a partner. You might review your sexual experiences over and over again in your head. You might try to just, really find people of the opposite sex attractive. You might chase that feeling. And yeah, it's of course, when you do that with OCD, it just pulls away, chasing feelings of attraction. It's just going to pull away and make it feel like that you're not. Obviously with OCD and HOCD, it just feels so real. So it's just going to feel like you're completely gay and you're not straight. And then also as well, what you might do is you might check for non-arousal to the same sex. So you might look at pictures of the same sex. So for me, for example, I might look at pictures of good-looking men, even watch gay pornography just to double check that I'm not attracted to it. And yeah, it just, HOCD, that just makes it feel so real. So that compulsion that you do there is just a dead end road, because you're not going to be able to tell what's real and what isn't, because it's OCD. If it didn't feel so real, right, it wouldn't be the disorder that it is. So that's something to look out for. Number 2 is asking your friends and family for reassurance that you're straight. Again, reassurance with OCD is just like a drug. You need to just try and refrain from asking those questions. When you really look at what you're doing, you're asking for an answer about your sexuality from someone else, when your sexuality is already with you, it's already in you. So, asking all these questions about your sexuality is just irrational. Like that, again, they might say, oh yeah, you've always been straight, but again, that's reassurance, and that's only just going to keep the cycle going. But then they can't possibly know your sexuality, because they're not you, right? So they have no control over it. So asking all these questions, it just doesn't really get you anywhere. Also, it's quite annoying. I remember just asking my mum and my best friend, am I gay? And in the end, it was just annoying them. So of course, you're only doing that because you're scared. I'll get on to how you can sort of alleviate the compulsions later, but yeah, you're only asking that because you're scared, right? So yeah, number 3, you avoid looking at people of the same sex in fear of being attracted to them. So you just might not look at people in the eye. That was a massive one for me. I'd go about my day just avoiding everyone. I wouldn't look at anyone in the eye. I'd just look to the ground. I'd avoid spending time with people of the same sex, including my mates. And looking back, that's just a huge avoidance behaviour. You really need to push yourself and just try and spend time with your friends. Try and look at people in the eyes. When you're talking to someone, just normally, don't need to go chasing exposures and overdoing it. It is a balance, but just trying to live your life just as normally as you can, and just trying to look at people and not desperately trying to look at everybody. Which is another big thing. You need to be careful of that. Number 4 is avoiding intimacy due to fears of thoughts, images, sensations, and urges. So, for example, you might be having intimacy with your partner, or just somebody of the sex you desire. But then you might get these mental images or groin responses come up in your head. OCD is going to throw all these different thoughts, images, sensations, just to try and throw you off, just to try and make you scared. It's gonna, when you're having intimacy with someone, it's going to throw all these images in your head. It's going to get you to second guess everything, and it's just what it does. It just calls the shots, doesn't it? It just plays around with you. It's so convincing. It just feels so real. I completely get that. And yeah, so for that reason, you might avoid intimacy, again, which is another avoidance behaviour. Number 5, you might speak about the opposite sex constantly with friends. So you might say, he or she's really attractive. You might constantly go on about how much you're attracted to them, when, in that moment, you're probably feeling like you couldn't be less attracted to them, because OCD just feels so real. So again, I remember doing that, especially when I was in the grips of HOCD, especially when I was at university. Like, I'd be out like in the club with my friends, and I'd just be saying, "Oh yeah, she's really attractive," and it was just such a compulsive cycle. I was really scared of my friends not accepting me, my friends thinking I was gay, so that was why I was doing that. And yeah, so you just need to be careful of doing that. Just to make you aware as well, guys, obviously it works both ways. So it could be me, being scared that I'm gay as a man. It could be like girls being afraid that they're also homosexual. And it could also be, guys that are gay guys who are scared that they're straight. So, there's sort of lots of different angles going on here with sexual orientation, OCD. So with, let's move on to number 6. Avoiding gay people or gay areas. So for example, in the UK, there's lots of gay friendly places now. For example, there's a city called Brighton, which is on the south coast of England, which has a very big gay community. There's other cities like Manchester and Birmingham who have like gay villages, and I'd just avoid those places completely. Where I'm from as well, London, there's a place called Soho, which is very gay friendly. So all those places I just would not go anywhere near. It just strikes so much fear into me. And yeah, it was an avoidance behaviour. If you find yourself avoiding going to these kind of places where there might be sort of a gay influence, you need to be careful of that, because again, that could be an avoidance behaviour that's fueling the cycle, which is all just based off on fear, which I'll get into more in a bit. Number 7, not wearing loud or coloured clothing in case of looking gay or eccentric. That was a massive one for me as well. I remember I'd go through phases of just wearing like really dark clothes, like with no colour, just so people didn't think that I was looking effeminate. And it's just, looking back, it was so irrational. And then with that as well, you really overanalyze the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you gesture, trying not to look effeminate, or or conversely trying to look manly if you're a female or whatever. It's just all these subtle little compulsions that just keep you stuck in the cycle. You need to just really like stop doing those. Number 8, another one for me was trying to appear really masculine, compulsively hitting the gym, trying to look really manly, trying to increase like testosterone, which was like a really big one for me, because I thought if I had done that, increasing my T, I thought I'd feel more attraction to girls. But even though I tried to do that, OCD still had the upper hand. It would still like pull away those feelings and sensations that I was after. It would still just pull it away, because I was still scared of it. And in the end as well, that would just ruin my sleep in the end, actually, because obviously when you're asleep, that's when your testosterone is produced. So I was getting so worked up about sleeping well, so I was like, I must have high testosterone to make me feel more attracted to girls. So that only ended up wrecking my sleep, which was just not very good at all. It just didn't do anything for me. And yeah, you might get that conversely. So you might get that girls trying to dress really like feminine. You might get gay guys as well trying to come across as extra eccentric, just to like reinforce their beliefs and really stave off that fear that they have. So it's really sneaky the way it works there. HOCD does so many different things like that. You need to just be aware of those. Number 9, another compulsion is reading articles and taking gay tests. Another absolute rabbit hole. That's only going to frighten you. They're a load of nonsense, to be honest. They can give a different answer on a day-by-day basis. They ask you lots of questions like, are you a big fan of gay pride and all this stuff that doesn't necessarily like link to whether you're attracted to or not. It's just a load of nonsense, to be honest, and it just makes you feel more scared. So yeah, don't go down that rabbit hole if you can. Just need to stop googling and looking at articles or forums and looking at other people's opinions on what they are, because everyone's different, right? Just because someone says that they find someone attractive, or they thought this, or they did that, or they felt this, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are as well. And then number 10 is repeating mantras in your head. So you might have like an intrusive thought, image, feeling, and it might just feel so real, which of course it does with HOCD, and then you might just really try and fight that off, saying, I'm not gay, I've never felt sexually attracted to someone of the same sex, and you might just say all these mantras in your head, so this can't be true. But again, that's an internal compulsion that needs to be brought down, because you're still fighting against it, and when you're resisting against those feelings and that fear, then the OCD is just going to be kept alive. So obviously, looking at it from a collective point of view, then your compulsions are being performed because you're scared, right? So you really just need to tackle what it is that you're scared of. As Nick says, you need to be wearing the ruminations and the thoughts, images, sensations and urges. I know they feel so real, but in that moment when they arise, you just have to do the best that you can. You just have to wear them. You can't be pushing them away. If you can just with every ounce of like belief and power and might that you have, just resist the compulsions. And obviously you need to tackle your irrational beliefs, and as you do that, the compulsions start to come down. You can see the video on the channel, which was uploaded a couple of weeks ago, which helps you to bring down those compulsions and fears. And once you do that, it just starts to lift, and you can start to see the HOCD and your true levels of attraction more clearly. So yeah, you're not going to be able to work it out. There's not going to be a tangible answer that comes out of the blue. You need to just sit with the uncertainty, dispute your beliefs gradually, and tackle your core fears, what's driving them. So, for example, I will give an example. So you might be really scared of societal rejection and HOCD. So, however, this belief about societal rejection assumes that it's like a universal belief that nobody accepts homosexuality. There's loads of evidence to suggest that's false. So, for example, as I alluded to earlier, there's lots of like gay-friendly places and gay villages and pride marches in the UK where I'm from. So that suggests that there is actually some acceptance towards homosexuality. Even families and friends are accepting towards that. I've got a couple of mates who are adored by their families. And even so, not everyone gets along with their family. They don't have to have that approval or acceptance. People don't get along with their families. Even straight people don't. There may be other reasons as to why they don't get on with their family apart from their sexuality. They might have had an argument, or they might have never had that close bond with their family. Their family members might be dead, to put it frank. So it's those really rigid beliefs about non-acceptance and homosexuality. They can really be broken down. You just need to go into that deeper level of acceptance when you do your beliefs. And societal rejection as well, there's people out there who don't find it that bad. So you've got politicians, you've got sports professionals, they don't find it that bad. They still have a great life. They're still making loads of money, having a comfortable life with relationships and being able to do the things they want. So that's just an example, one of the fears, how you can break it down. And yeah, just finally, guys, then, so exposures that I found helpful to help bring down these compulsions and to actually get over the fear of being homosexual, right? So exposures, of course, they're not easy. Sometimes you really do need to push yourself and face the discomfort head on, take a leap, as Rob says. But when you do that, the benefits for your long-term recovery are like invaluable. So for an example, you might be obviously you're really scared that you're gay, so you might really test yourself and go to a gay bar, for example. So you might go there and just strike up a conversation with somebody. You might go with a friend, like a safe friend who you trust and who's there to sort of help you in your recovery. But if you really push yourself and just chat to somebody who's gay in a gay bar, you'd realise that it's not actually that scary. And the more you do that, the more you think, even if this was true, that still wouldn't be awful, right? Another one you can do is you can go in. Another one that I did in particular was going into a bookshop and asking somebody where the LGBTQ section is. Again, that was really, really tough for me. Probably went bright red. The guy who was serving me probably thought I was a tomato, but it was really, really good. And yeah, in that moment, it feels quite scary, but you look back and it's just not that scary. You didn't need his approval, and even if you did think that you was gay or homosexual, then he's got his own stuff going on in his life, and that's not to say that everybody doesn't accept gay people, as I said before. And another one you might do is another one that I did as well. I told a shop worker that I was trying to buy a shirt for my boyfriend. Again, very, very tough exposure, but I really pushed myself with it. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this, sod it. If this helps me to get better, then I'll do it. I've done it as well, and it wasn't even that bad. He was just like, oh yeah, what size are you after, mate? So again, it wasn't that bad. You play it out to be this really scary thing, but once you actually do it, you just realise it's an illusion, which is one of the most beautiful things that you see in your OCD recovery. Like, fear is an illusion. And then as well, in terms of the exposure side of things, yeah, just you need to try and spend more time with the same sex. Don't, you can't spend your life avoiding looking at everybody. Again, there's a balance here. You don't need to look at everybody in every moment, everywhere you go. You don't need to try and look at everybody. For example, there's just some times where you're not going to be able to do exposures, like when you're driving, or that sort of thing. When you're on a treadmill in the gym, you don't want to be turning around trying to look at everyone. That just looks weird. Like, so that's what I used to do as well. I'd chase exposures so bad, and looking back, I must have just looked so stupid. Like, I was desperate. I was chasing the exposures, but again, that's where OCD has the upper hand, and that's where sort of fear comes into play as well. You're chasing that relief. You're chasing that that final answer, that final bit of certainty, but it just doesn't come. So yeah, don't do it compulsively. There will be times where you have to take leaps, and there's going to be times where you really don't feel like doing exposures. There's going to be times where you really feel like you want to do compulsions, but again, when you just that bit of grit and determination and that willpower sometimes comes into play, it just adds up bit by bit by bit and really helps you to get better in your recovery journey. And yeah, just another one as well, just finally, if you could walk down your high street wearing a pretty loud outfit, just wearing bright colours, not saying anything too eccentric or loud. I mean, you can go as loud as you want, but just wearing an outfit that maybe looks a bit different, a bit brighter, if you like. Trying to show the world that you really don't care what they think of you, really not caring about that societal rejection. That's a good one. But yeah, as I say, guys, they're not. You don't absolutely have to do those exposures. They can just, it's about how bad you want to recover. At the end of the day, you can, and boy, they would really help you. But it's up to you whether you do them or not. So yeah, with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think that's the bulk of the exposures and compulsions and avoidance behaviours that are involved with HOCD. Just be really careful that you're not performing all these compulsions. Obviously, you're not going to recover from OCD if you're doing them, so you really need to just make sure that you're doing your best to cut them out. So yeah, with that being said, guys, I hope you're all doing good. Thanks for watching the video. Take care, and I'll speak to you again soon.